Today we're going to be looking at the container unit access system. Before we can use the equipment, we need to ensure that it's all there and that it all conforms to all safety standards. So I'm going to begin by emptying the contents of the bag out and checking the equipment. In brief, the equipment comprises of 2 lanyards and 2 long ropes. The equipment comes with a checklist built into the bag. So to begin with, I'll lay all the equipment out, confirm I've got all the paperwork, and then check the serial numbers. So, following the checklist on the contents, the first item is the blue bag, which we've clearly seen. The next items are the stops. There's 4 in total, 2 per rope. The stops will become clear later. They're designed to stop the user coming away from the end of the cabin. We need to make sure that the stops are there and that they operate freely in each case. The next item on the checklist is the carabiners. There are 2 shown on here, and they've been pre-positioned onto the ropes 1 and 2. The next item that we have is the 2 lanyards. Each lanyard comes with its own user and inspection guide. So we need to confirm that the serial number, as shown on the paperwork, matches the serial number on the lanyard. The booklet is also your inspection guide. It's very important that this booklet is retained when receiving the equipment and that the inspection guide is completed throughout the life of the lanyard. I can confirm that the lanyard is in a suitable, usable condition. There's no damage to it. Remove these twists, and on the end of each of the legs there's a carabiner and a main one. And now repeat the process on the next lanyard. On to checking the 2 main ropes then. I'll begin with checking the paperwork and confirming that the serial number matches the serial number of the equipment. Remember, with the paperwork, this is your record of inspection, so the paperwork must be retained and kept with the equipment to prove that you're carrying out the correct legal inspections. Starting with the 2 scaff hooks, ensuring that the gate opens and closes freely on both of the hooks, and then checking the condition of the rope, making sure that it's not damaged, that the pulley wheel rotates freely, and that the carabiner is able to move. Working my way through the length of the rope, ensuring there's no damage to any parts of it. And carrying out the same process on the second rope. So that concludes the checking of the equipment. I'm now ready to start work. So the first process is to put on the lanyards. So working as a buddy-buddy system, I'll begin by attaching the carabiner to the rear anchor point on the harness. Fully loosen off the carabiner, attach it and tighten up the thumb screw. Once done, my colleague can then attach the 2 ends of the lanyard to his side anchor points on his harness to reduce trip hazard. Okay, Matt?
Yep.
Once he's done, he can then repeat the process, attaching the lanyard to myself. So we're going to keep a tidy sight, we're going to move our ropes, and we're going to stow all of our unneeded paperwork into the bag. Using one of the ropes, we're going to lay it out along the length of the cabin. keeping the tensioning end at this end of the cabin. Before we can attach the rope to the roof of the cabin, we need to set the stop block to the correct distance. As he ascends the ladder, he can now attach the rope using the scaff hook to the roof of the cabin, ensuring that the scaff hook is attached from inside to out. And he then descends the ladder. We're now ready to attach the other end of the rope. Again, he ascends the ladder with the scaff hook and attaches the scaff hook into the ISO lock after lifting the rope onto the roof of the cabin. Again, scaff hook inside to out. At this point, for his safety, he attaches himself with his lanyard to the scaff hook. This allows him to use both hands to lightly tension the rope. Once done, he can descend the ladder again. Before we can attach the second rope, we need to set the stop as we did with the first rope. With all the rope loosely placed on the roof, you can select the correct scaff hook, and again inside to out, and attach the scaff hook to the cabin, leaving the rope on the roof. We're now ready to make our way onto the roof. Ascending the ladder, and hooking onto the rope using the lanyard. And onto the roof. I can now make my way to the far end of the unit and collect the rope which we previously placed there. As before, attaching the scaff hook inside to out. I can then tension the rope. The rope needs to be tensioned tight enough to remove as much slack as possible from it to stop me from falling off the opposite side of the cabin. So I will be in restraint when working on the opposite side from the rope that's been tensioned. I'm now ready to check that the stop blocks are all set at the correct distance for the cabin being worked on. Having set the stop block to the correct distance, I can fit my second lanyard and come across to tension the original rope correctly. Again, the rope needs to be tensioned fully to prevent me from falling off the cabin on the opposite side. And then once again, set the stop block to the correct distance. Now all the stop blocks are set and the ropes are fully tensioned, I can now test the system. As you can see, I can't get to the opposite sides as the restraint system is stopping me getting there. What it allows me to do is make my way down the cabin and the system is fully set. During installation, it's only to be one person up here. Once fully installed, the system is designed to allow 2 operatives to work on the roof. Having completed the task, we're now ready to strip the equipment out. To begin with, I'll remove my carabiner from the second rope. I'll still be in restraint by the first rope. I'll release the tension on the second rope. Once the tension's released, I can remove the scaff hook from the corner of the cabin. Then I can walk the rope down to the far corner. I can now release some of the tension from the first rope. The reason for removing some of the tension at this point is to make the process easier once standing on the ladder. At this point, if I was working on a double or a triple stack building, I would attach my carabiner on my lanyard to the scaff hook to provide me with some additional safety. We've repositioned the ladder as we now need to remove the second rope, which is still on the roof. So we're now ready to store the rope away. We need to check it before we stow it away to make sure it's not damaged and that it's not wet or contaminated with anything. If it's wet, it needs to be hung up to dry. If it's contaminated, you need to refer to manufacturer's instructions. Also stow the lanyards in the same bag, ready for next use. Thanks. And that completes the task. The kit's been used, deployed and recovered and stowed securely.